Hello on the Rockers. Tonight we chat with multi-hyphenate entertainer, actress, artist, singer, dancer, and director. In the words of a fan who posted on her social media, what can't this woman do? Emmy-nominated Melora Hardin is here with guest co-host, social media maven George Griffin, and me, your favorite host with the sassy most. I can barely make toast. That's my multi-hyphenate. Raise a glass, let the drinks begin. It's on the rocks.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Lord have mercy, buttons and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. The Oscar noms are out, all the usual suspects, as we expected. Barbie, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, all there. But no Leonardo DiCaprio, or no Margot Robbie, no Julianne Moore, no Natalie Portman, no Fantasia Barrino. What happened? Girl, Oscars, you got some explaining to do. And I thought we were doing better representing female directors, by the way. Hello, Greta Gerwig. And Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig didn't get an award for Barbie nomination, but Ryan Gosling did. Isn't that the point of the movie?
No.
No. But some history being made, not all bad. Lily Gladstone became the first Native American to be nominated for an acting Oscar. So that's something. The Oscars are going to be broadcast earlier this year at 4 p.m. on Sunday, March 10th. Earlier, so actors don't get so tipsy, but there you go. Okay, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook, On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email, book me for pride, wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I'll show up. Info at OnTheRocksRadioShow.com. Also send us your comments, guest requests, and I have your guest questions for tonight. The show's presented by Straw Hat Media. You can watch and or listen to our now over 350 episodes at OnTheRocksRadioShow.com for free. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with Pride on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. Lucky you, East Coast. All right, we proudly tape at UBN Go Studios, your one-stop place for podcasting. Let's get the show on the road. My guest co-host, making his debut today, George Griffin, founding partner of McGriffin Media, a full-service marketing communications firm he started with his husband. He heads up a team of social media strategists and community managers who develop client work on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, X, and LinkedIn. He's a social media maven and specialist since the start of the social media era. He made his mark on Instagram and other platforms and has helped dozens of celebrities and others make their personal and professional brands shine. He ran his consultancy, George Griffin Public Relations, for 5 years before merging his business with his husband, Daryl, consulting to form McGriffin Media. There they are in a publication recently. So gorgeous. He's worked with a number of high-profile entertainment personalities. He has dipped his toes and possible other body parts in entertainment, working as a professional actor early on and appearing in a number of national ad campaigns. Hello, Super Bowl Pepsi ad. Recently, he and his husband can be seen in the Kodak campaign. I promise I won't be jealous because I can't even get a second date, and you're in a national commercial with your husband being successful. Please welcome George Griffin. That's all. Hello there.
Hello.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
I want to know how you go from being an actor to being a social media maven. How does that happen?
First of all, that Barbie photo, though.
Oh, I had to put it in. I just
Not the Barbie photo.
Of course.
Social media is just something that I always knew how to do growing up because I'm part of that generation. So it was always kind of intertwined with acting too, because having the casting profiles, having to always have a big presence online just for casting directors to see and stuff like that. So it was pretty easy. It was a pretty simpatico experience just in general.
I remember one of the first auditions I went to, and they're like, "Oh, put down your Instagram handle and how many
Wait,
followers
auditions? You were an actor?
Yeah, I dabble. Now it's just porn, but still.
Oh my God.
That's a joke. I'm not into porn. Don't go looking. No, you won't find anything. But I remember I was stunned when they're like, "Put down your Instagram and then your followers." I'm like, "You want to see my acting?"
Yeah, it's such a thing now.
Now, why has it become such a big part? An actor can't just be an actor now. Social media is such a big part.
You can be, if you're already an established actor and you're famous already, you don't necessarily need to have Instagram.
But we're talking Leonardo DiCaprio style.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a massive star.
Right.
Starting out, I think partially because if you have 100,000 followers, at least 25% of those people are going to come and watch the project that you're in. So that's like a built-in audience for whatever it is that they're creating, whether it's like a movie or a show or a pilot or whatever it is.
Well, they're saying Mean Girls was so successful and continues to be successful because of social media.
Have you ever had Daniel Francesi on this show?
Oh, many times.
Okay,
I love
him, by the way.
We did a cruise together. Not that we did it together, but we were both working on the cruise. We had a lot of fun.
That's the homie.
You know,
if you're listening, shout out Daniel.
Yeah. But now, why is it so important for an actor? There's another question I have is how much do you know how to share, especially since you're working with celebrities?
Yeah.
Fans really want to feel like they're intimate, that they get to know their celebrities on a regular basis. But there's a thing about sharing too much. I mean, there's even sharing about where you live, when you're traveling, what you're doing. That's dangerous. How do you draw that line but still kind of have that intimacy?
I guess it's subjective to every different social media manager. I would say I don't like to overshare. I still like actors to have a bit of mystery. I don't want everyone to know what, they're drinking in their coffee every morning.
Well, see, I like to know that, but I don't need to know like every single day.
You want to know what the coffee ingredients
I want to know what they're drinking. You said coffee. I stopped at drinking.
I feel you. I feel you on that. Yeah.
Okay. And it must be interesting working with celebrities because I'm sure there's different personalities.
Yeah.
In terms of like send you 500 of the same selfie and like post the best one. And
yes,
send you
but I've
notes.
never had any negative like encounters working with anybody.
You work with good people too.
Yeah, I've worked with good people. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you ready to bring on the lady of the hour? I am ready.
Wait, that's it? That's all I get?
No, you're helping me like run the show.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay. God, I've got a diva here. And, hello, we got a
brought
diva
George
here.
Griffin, babes. Come on.
All right, it's time to bring on the lady of the hour, Melora Hardin. Recently starred as Dr. Elizabeth Simmons in the new psychological thriller movie Clock. Hello, Spiders and Tall Women. I watched it last night. I had nightmares all day. Thank you for the bags under my eyes. Also, as Jacqueline Carlisle in 5 seasons of The Bold Type, both currently streaming on Hulu, by the way. Highly recommendable. She's probably most recognized for her portrayal of Jan Levinson in the NBC series The Office, also known for playing Trudy Monk, Tony Shalhoub's wife on Monk. Love the movie, by the way. She earned a Primetime Emmy nomination for appearance as Tammy Cashman in Amazon's Golden Globe winning Best Comedy, a show that we all love, Transparent. She's been in many feature films, including Hannah Montana, 17 Again, Thank You for Smoking, Absolute Power, opposite Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman, by the way, and 27 Dresses. Stars in the first one-woman movie ever made, Golden Vanity, which I watched today, as Mabel Montgomery, and it's currently killing in the festival circuit. We're going to talk a lot about it because it's something. It's something. She made her directorial debut with the independent feature film entitled You, which was truly a family affair. We're going to talk about that as well. She directed an episode of The Bold Type called Snow Day, which was nominated for a Women's Image Award for Best Directing. And she wrote and directed the music video for Grammy Award-winning artist Paula Cole's 20th anniversary for one of her hit songs, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? And again, like one of her fans posted, it's like, what can't this woman do? Well, we're not done. She's been acting, singing, and dancing since she was a kid, appearing in numerous hit shows, including, get this list, this is just a little small sample. We're talking Friends, Little House on the Prairie, Love Boat, Magnum P.I., Falling Skies, A Million Little Things, and Scandal, just to name a very, very, there she is, a Little House. There we go.
Oh.
Do you know Little House is, this is a fun fact, by the way, this studio is doing the official 50th anniversary Little House of the Prairie podcast with 50 episodes. Maybe they're going to call you. She's sung in many productions, including Disney's The Rocketeer and Tower of Terror. She made her Broadway debut in Chicago as Roxy Hart. She also played Fantine in Les Mis at the Hollywood Bowl, by the way. She also made it to the semifinals on Dancing with the Stars and danced to herself singing Mother Knows Best for Disney Villains Night, earning her and her partner the first perfect 10 of the season. She's recorded 3 albums, All the Way to Mars, her most recent, all are available to stream on Spotify. And in her free time, and I put it here, free time, she's an artist whose art has inspired her wallpaper designs. There she is, hard at work. Oh my God, she puts the heart in Hardin. I mean, that's hard work. Please welcome, making her On the Rocks debut, Melora Hardin. I almost ran out of spit there just getting through all of that.
You have such a big audience here. Applaud. Nice
Yeah.
applause by the audience.
They're very shy, though.
I
They
really
like to hide in,
that.
you know.
Yeah, that works for me.
I mean, we're talking about an almost 5-decade career. And we say that's like, oh, my God. keep in mind, you got into it when we were
I think
super,
it is
super
exactly
young.
five decades because I'm 56 and I started at 6 years old.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's been 5 decades.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
You're so young when you got into the business, but you were born in an entertainment family. Both your parents were actors. Of course, your dad, Jerry Harding, who was on Golden Girls, by the way, and I introduced him last year at a Golden Girls convention.
Nice.
He's got his own long list of credits.
Yes, he does.
So you were kind of conditioned to follow suit. Was there ever a question that you were going to be in the business?
Well, when I was little, I thought I was going to be a ballerina. I mean,
Yeah.
I was really into ballet. And at 6, the only reason I ended up doing it was because I went with my parents to drop off their headshots. At that time, that was how everything had to be done physically. You'd drive your headshots over, drop them off a big giant pile like this, which would go into a manila envelope and get sent out through the mail. And I know for those young people, you can't imagine that, but
It was
that's
a lot of work.
The way
and
it
you
was.
get all the
Yeah.
cuts from all the manila envelopes, right?
Yeah.
And you run a spin from licking
That's
everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So anyway, I was there, and my parents' agent was like, "Wow, aren't you cute? Don't you want to do what mom and dad does?" And I was like, "I could do what mom and dad does? Yes." And apparently, I just tugged on their sleeve and bugged them and bugged them and bugged them, and they just both were like, "Oh my God, we don't want her to have to deal with the rejection of this business."
Yeah.
And they thought, "We'll let her go on 10 auditions. If she doesn't get anything, we'll ease her out of it. She'll never know the difference." I got the first thing I went on.
Hey.
There we go.
Of course you did.
Yeah, and IMDb they had to sign a bunch of writers just let's follow her career because like credit after credit. So I thought maybe they had just like kind of conditioned this, but this was all on your own.
It was me. I wanted it. And I was really, I was already like, I was a performer, from the time I can remember. My mom says I wrote my first song when I was 2. I remember sitting in a window that we had where we lived in Santa Monica at the time, strumming the guitar, my brother's guitar, when I was like 2, and getting a giant blood blister that was this big because I just was writing this song. I was going on and on and on about a little girl who had a cold. It was like, "Coffin Jeannie sits by the window. She's so sick she coughs." I mean, literally, I'm
Better
not kidding.
trademark that. That's going to be a Cardi B song next
that
year.
is
I'm dead. It actually will be.
It will
That
be.
is the song. Yeah. I was listening to the radio today, and Aretha Franklin came on with, Respect.
Yeah.
RESPECT, right? And I was like, wow, that's what really cool, strong women were writing about in that time. And now we've got the strong women writing about WHP.
Yeah. Can you imagine? But that's on
I
Paris
don't
101.
I don't really get the growth in that.
I
That feels,
do love that song.
That feels to me like we're going backwards. I don't know why. It
But
just
can you imagine
does.
K-Earth 101 in 20 years is going to be playing that song? And these kids are going to be like,
no.
singing it in kindergarten. Like, I was horrified when K-Earth stopped playing 50 songs and they went to 70s and 80s. I was like, no way. But they're going to be playing WAP on that.
I know. They kind of think it. They think it. I don't know. Okay.
There's the whole other argument, though, that it is women's empowerment and
That's
they're
what
taking
that's
power.
the argument.
Yeah, that's... But I don't know if I had a kid if I'd want them listening to WAP.
That's the argument.
No, there we go.
Thank you.
So
Thank
born
you,
in
Tony.
Houston, went to San Francisco, then ended up in SoCal. And then boom, you're 10 years old, you get the starring role in Thunder, which was a kid show on NBC on Saturday
Yes.
mornings.
And 2 weeks, this is like a little tidbit that not many people know. So 2 weeks before that, my mom was putting me to bed at night, like stroking my forehead and singing me some kind of a little song. And we were talking. And I said, "Mom, you know what I really want to do? I want to do a show about a horse." And 2 weeks later, I got Thunder. So that was when my manifesting skills
just gonna say.
really started. Maybe not, maybe even younger than that. But I feel very, very, like that is a very special, in my memory of my childhood acting career, which was full of lots of fun things. That's for sure a highlight.
So, we always ask actors when they were kids actors, do you remember doing the show? It's like, you're 10 years old. What can you really remember?
I remember a lot about my
it's-
childhood. Yeah.
A lead show, NBC series, every week series, and
Yeah.
you're 10 years old. Did you feel this pressure, or it just was
Oh
second
no,
nature?
it wasn't about pressure. No, it was just about fun. This was so fun. I loved horses. I loved being around horses. I loved to ride horses. I learned how to barrel race by this amazing guy who owned the 2 beautiful black stallions that we worked with, and his name was Billy. What was Billy's last name? I'll think of it. I'll probably think of it maybe before before we end this podcast. I hope so. He was so wonderful. He had one glass eye, and he was just the greatest guy. He was, and he taught me how to barrel race. And I mean, I felt like I'd won the lottery. Are you kidding? And I went to Nudies. You remember Nudies, the Western wear store? And Nudie.
Girl, you have to be very clear on this show. What
Yeah.
Nudies
Nudies.
is.
No, Nudies.
Hello.
Is anybody that liked Western wear. It was there for, I don't know, 25 years, and Nudie himself would. He would dress you, and he made like all the beautiful stuff for like Elvis Presley that were very Western. He made, the bedazzled.
Oh,
studded,
I know exactly now.
Yeah,
yes. Elvis would only go
jackets.
to him, especially
Yes.
when he did his Vegas
Yes,
thing.
yes,
He would
yes.
only go to.
To Nudie.
Whoa.
Yeah, there he is. There's
There he
Nudie.
goes.
There's
Yeah.
Nudie. And Nudie dressed me
This
for,
is so in style
for
right now,
Thunder.
by the way.
Oh my God, so
Yeah,
in
it is.
style.
Ross Matthews is
No,
jealous.
and he looked just like that. You would go into his store, and he dressed me, and I wore in Thunder. I had the same costume every single episode. I never changed. So I had like 4 brown shirts from Nudie's, 4 of the same belt with the big belt buckle, 4 of the same jeans, 4 of the same boots. And that was what I wore, and I wore. Justin Randy was my sidekick, and Don Randy's son. Don Randy is a big jazz musician here, owns the Baked Potato in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
And so anyway, we wore the same outfits the entire. So he wore a little like gingham shirt, and I wore that brown shirt every single episode. So yeah.
But how does a 10-year-old get used to like the camera shots and all of that, because it was so natural? Were you being put through like acting classes and all of this, or?
Well, both my parents are actors,
Right.
and my mom was an incredible set mom. She really taught me how to be a professional as a child, but how to keep she had an acting school for years called Exploring the Joy of Acting. It was called the Young Actor Space, Exploring the Joy of Acting, it wrote underneath. And that was really my mom. She really, really understood that acting, it's joy. Look, it's called acting. It's called doing a play for a reason, because we're supposed to be playing. That doesn't not to say that we don't have skill sets and we don't work and hone our craft. But I think as a child actor, it's super important to have someone guiding you that is helping you be a professional and keeping the joy alive, which is what my mom did 100%. I'm so grateful for that.
We know there's a lot of child actors who didn't have that positive experience.
No,
that it was
that's
work,
right.
work, money,
Yeah.
money, money, and
Yes.
that's all it was.
Why did you look
yes.
at me when you said that?
Well, no.
I had a positive experience.
Well, no, I know. Not all of us had that. Okay, we had to dish. How did you balance your career as a kid and going through school? Because you went to middle school and high school, like you did the whole thing. How did you balance that?
Well, I worked a lot. I was on set a lot. I did get a little bit of can I curse on the show?
You can do it.
I
It just
got a
costs me
little bit of
$10
shit.
each time.
Okay.
It's fine. Daryl's gonna give me his debit card. It's fine.
Wait, you can curse, right?
No, you can't. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I got a little bit of shit in 7th grade. I worked so much when I was 12. You're 12 when you're in 7th grade. And I just worked all the time. I was like out of school a lot. And I did get some kids that were very jealous, and they kind of made me uncomfortable. But I don't know. I got tough. I don't know. You learn how to do it. You learn how to make jokes. You learn how to be kind. You learn how to work your way through it. And for whatever reason, it worked out okay.
Well, that's good, because I can't imagine being a star and then having to deal with like the regular cafeteria and all that's like, no, I'm a star. Like
I like that too, though. Like, to be a great actor, you kind of need to have real life.
Yeah.
If you don't know real life, you can't play real people.
Right.
And I think that's
So-
where some of these child actors got. And even when we see actors that they rise really fast to the top, they're in their own bubble and they don't
Yeah.
even know what's going on. And I mean, I love Lady Gaga, but I think she's now in her own bubble where she's so disconnected with reality. When she talks about acting, there's a sincerity that's just not there anymore.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Wow.
100%.
Interesting, yeah.
Don't hate me, monsters. Okay, dish on Love Boat. We know Love Boat at that time, like that was a bucket list for every actor. We're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about Ethel Merman, Buddy Hackett. We're talking about everybody who was on that show. Jill Whelan was also a child actor on that show.
That's right.
And she's done the show plenty of times. What was that experience like? 'Cause
Well-
she had a very interesting experience because it was very much an adult set.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure. Again, my mother protected me.
That's so great.
I was so excited to do the Love Boat.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it was like a huge hit show, but they wanted me to wear my own clothes. I don't really get that. Like, looking back on that now, I'm kind of like, why did they have me? But what I'm wearing in the show, if you see me, I'm wearing a pink It's called Heroes. That was the name of the designer. And Heroes were the thing, you know, to wear. I was 12. And I had this pink Heroes
There we go.
top
Oh
and,
my God.
and Heroes skirt. And I was so excited to wear this outfit. And I thought I was so beautiful in that. And so that was fun. I also really, you can see the way I'm looking at her.
Yeah.
What is her name? Who played Julie? Whatever her name was.
forget her real
Anyway,
name.
whatever her name was, I had such a like little girl crush on her, like big girl, like, oh, she's so amazing. And she was so sweet to me. I have since found out that she was, I guess, sadly, Lauren Twos or however you say it. But that's right. She was just a lovely
I've
woman.
heard that from everybody that's worked on that
lovely
show.
woman, and apparently she was, a drug addict. I'm
dealing with
very
a
sad
lot.
to hear that.
Dealing
Is she
with
still alive?
Yeah.
No, oh no, I
No.
don't think so. Is she?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is she
wow.
really?
They just did a whole reunion thing.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought she. Okay.
No, she's
Okay,
yeah.
she got fired because of drugs, but
Yeah.
she didn't. Okay, she didn't know. That was Dana Plato, who was also lovely.
Yes.
I did Different Strokes too, and Dana was super lovely. Everyone else on that, not so much. Well, Gary Coleman was very nice too, but
I mean, being
Todd
part
Bridges,
of
not so much.
You know, we use the word iconic so many times, but you literally have been through iconic shows. And I can't imagine as a kid walking onto that set of Love Boat.
Yeah,
And just seeing it in
Quincy
real
with Jack
person.
Klugman.
Yeah.
That was an amazing show to be on. I did that twice. I did that once when I was 12. I played a child, someone who was taken into child prostitution. And then when I was 15, I played kind of a girl who was a runaway who became a punk rocker and got into drugs. And I mean, just great shows to be on as a kid because you really got to play dramatic arcs.
And learn from veterans.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And Jack Klugman, another incredibly lovely person.
Didn't you play a child prostitute on a Magna
Magna
Pi?
Pi,
Yeah.
yes. A 15-year-old, yeah. 15
Was that different from the other thing you just said?
That was different.
Wow.
Yeah, that was different. Yeah, the one that I did on Quincy was really uncomfortable because they wanted. I remember I really liked the director. Like I loved the director. And here's another little piece of like great mothering that my mother and father, both mother and father, did. So. The director was a guy named Ray. What was Ray? I think it was Ray Danton. I think that was his name. I liked him so much. He was just the nicest guy, and I just like sat on his lap all the time. Like I was 12, so I just like I felt like a little girl still, and I just would like hug him all the time and hang on him and sit on his lap and just and he was super lovely. And I remember, and my mom told me later that she came home and she said to my dad, like, she's like sitting on this director's lap, like
That
all
would
the
not happen
time.
today.
No,
and
that would
she's-
not.
Right, but she's hanging on him, and he's very sweet, and like I don't leave, like I don't let him, like I stand there, like my mom was keeping an eye on it. But my dad said, she's like, what should I do? Like, what should I do? And what should I tell her? Like to stop doing that? And my dad said, you know what? I think she will feel it. Like she'll know when to stop. And like sure enough, it was sort of the end of that shooting that I kind of, and Ray Danton was lovely enough, right, that he didn't take advantage of that situation. He was just a lovely guy, and he was just kind of like, oh my God, but he was sweet as anything. And that was it. Like that was the last time I did that. And they didn't have to have a talk with me or, I think they just kept an eye on it. And, I don't know how my mom exactly dealt with it. I'm sure she must have said like, just know that, you're getting to be a young woman and, you're beautiful and, that kind of thing. But I'm so grateful to my mom for that and my dad for
What a
like,
gift.
yeah, what a gift to really, to spot it, to understand that like, I just wasn't feeling like a sexual being yet. I was 12. I just
Yeah.
didn't feel like that. And he, and he was sort of sensitive enough to realize that I still felt like a little girl. But I had to do a scene in that where I had to they wanted to shoot me like looking like I had no clothes on. They wanted to do,
Wait, you were 12?
where I was 12. Yeah, they wanted it to look like, because I was it was child porn.
Yeah.
And this guy had kidnapped me and was, and I remember this, and this actor playing the guy who was looping me into the child porn was really good. And he was scary,
Yeah.
And so Ray came over to me and he said, how do you feel about, because because they said bring in whatever you want to be comfortable, and so I brought in like my full-on onesie footy pajamas that zipped all the way, you know, my pink onesie pajamas.
You were so young and innocent.
Yeah, of course.
You're comfortable.
Yeah, and
course.
he's like, and Ray comes over and he goes, would you mind just bringing it down off your shoulders? And if you're not comfortable with that, it's okay. And I like thought about it, and I was like, no. And he goes, okay. And he just like, he just said, if you could just zip it like that much and just move that, we'll just shoot it like, it's just neck and head. Like it's literally like when you look at it, it's this much neck and head. Because he was so sweet. He didn't say, okay, we have to pull it. Like he just was like, okay, you're not comfortable with it. So it's just head and neck.
Well, it's funny.
Sweet.
Very lucky.
Well, and
Very lucky.
we literally saw you grow up on camera, you know.
Yeah.
When most teenagers are going through puberty and they're having the weird thing with like pimples and like their body change and all that, you were on screen for the whole time.
Oh my God. I saw me grow up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw me grow up, and I still see me grow up. I'm still watching myself grow up. Yeah, it's a weird, it's an interesting thing, but I'll tell you, it affords you a really interesting perspective. Like I can watch myself, and you know, taking Golden Vanity to the film festivals, I've been answering a lot of questions about what that's like to watch myself do that performance, or you know.
It's very vulnerable.
It's pretty intense and vulnerable, but I really don't watch myself. And go like, oh, you know, that, or oh, you know, I just have I have kind of an interesting separation, which makes me, I think, a good director, because I can see things almost from the outside also while I'm in it. And it's yeah. So I'm running something in my head because I had this interesting experience at this last festival that I just went to, where a young man in the front row asked me the last question of the night. It was quite a big audience. And he said, you know, do you ever watch, you know, you made the movie so long ago, and now when you watch it, do you sit there and watch it and go like, ugh, I just wish I'd, you know, done it like this, and ugh, I wish I'd done it like that. And I said, no. No, I don't watch myself and think, Melora, you suck, because I don't suck. And I know when I'm making the moment in the movie or the television show or the play, I can feel when it's real and truthful and honest. And so, no, I don't then later go like, that wasn't an honest moment, because I won't let something go by and not be an honest moment. And it was so funny because at the party afterwards, I had 3 women that were not connected, they weren't friends, come up to me and say, that was so empowering the way you answered that, because no one would ever ask a man if they look at themselves at something that they're so fucking proficient at, they're so excellent at, that they would say, something you're excellent at, do you look at yourself and think, I suck? And they said, your answer was so genius, because, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that women would resonate with that much, and that they would feel like they are put on the spot all the time to defend the work that they do.
So this brings up a lot. In fact, so we have a lot of actors who watch the show.
Yeah.
Because this is like a learning workshop. And one of the questions is there a role that you've had that you would want to go back and redo or revisit because of, you know, it wasn't my best performance, or I wasn't in the right space, or something that's out there. You're like, no. So it's kind of along that line, but it is a thought. But you're right. It is it's a driven question of female. And you went through something, you know, Back to the Future. You were cast in Back to the Future when Eric Stoltz was no longer a part, and I think you filmed like one scene, right?
Well, we actually did press. We did press photos, but we didn't ever film a scene. No.
So we know Michael J. Fox came in, and you were replaced. Not because of your acting, but because you were too tall. And the biggest priority was to not make Michael J. Fox look emasculated. How ridiculous is that?
Weird.
Well,
is so
Why couldn't they have
weird.
they could have configured that somehow?
But the
right?
fact that this was probably a discussion had hours and all the execs and all of that, and
Well,
you as an actor, like, what the hell does that have to do with my acting?
Here's even the better like piece of that story. There was a guy who wrote a book about the Back to the Future situation, and he interviewed me, and he said, you know, it was Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis, director, producer, were both completely happy for you to be taller than Michael J. Fox.
Oh my God, that
It
kills
was
me.
2 female executives
Whoa.
at the time.
I didn't
so
know
this
that.
was
No, I didn't know that
1985,
either.
86, something
Yeah.
like that, right? So I like to bring that story up because here's the two things. One is I don't blame those two women because those two women in 1985-86 were working in a man's world trying to achieve a position of power in a world that's dominated by men, and they want to feel like they have something to say about what makes their lead guy look hot and not emasculated. And it's sort of like similar to Jan, is something I say about Jan, my character on The Office, is that she felt that she had to make herself more masculine to survive in a masculine world and to fight that thing. And I also will say, sure, there's a long way we still have to go as women. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think you would find two female executives in 2024 or 2020 or 2021 or 2022 or 2023 saying that about their male star.
And hopefully there's more than just two female
Yeah.
executives.
And hopefully there's more than two. That's right.
But 100%, you're exactly right. They were trying to make their own space. And
Yes.
sometimes, even as gay men growing up in entertainment, even some of the writers who would have to hide their sexuality, who wrote for Golden Girls, by the way, felt that they almost had to sell out their own crowd in order to make space. So this leads into another question. I want to talk about your role as a woman in entertainment. You have played women in different stages of your life as you've matured, as we've talked about. It's only really until the last decade that we've had conversations about equality, women behind the camera, treatment of women on set, the Me Too movement. What can you share about your role in entertainment and how it's been challenged and how that's changed?
I think the main thing I can say that would be of any use to anybody, because who cares about all the little tidbits of this and that, is that I think that the business of Hollywood is it's basically like high school with money. It just is,
That
right?
part.
It's high school
It's
with
Mean
money.
Girls with money.
Yeah. And
That's so true.
and so basically, and it doesn't respond to anyone who's a victim. It doesn't respond to victims. It just doesn't. And I've never been a victim of this business. I've never been a victim of whatever's going on in this business. I will again give my parents compliments, because I was taught by my parents how to say no, how to say yes, how to advocate for myself at a very, very young age. And before I could do it, they were doing it. They were protecting me. They were taking care of me the way parents should. And that's the job of a parent.
Yeah.
And
100%.
So
in any industry, even at home, that's the job of a parent.
That's the job of a parent. And parents need to pay attention. And so they were paying attention. And I really think that's the thing I can say. I mean, there's been great growth. There's no doubt. But I also, again, I don't feel the way people feel about looking at somebody who's 85, 90 years old, who said something when they were 40 or 30, or did something in this business
This is a very hot topic.
that was
Yeah.
30, or when they were 30 or in their
Yeah.
20s. I personally am like, people, wake up. Times were different.
course.
I'm a person who believes that we learn from history.
Yep.
I'm not a person who believes we wipe history out so that
We
we
learn
can
from our
all
own
feel more
mistakes, too.
comfortable.
Yeah, from-
Like we can all feel more comfortable about what's going on in today's world. Let's just wipe those things out of the history books that don't make us comfortable, because it's not pleasant to look at the fact that we had slaves in this country. It's not pleasant to think that men talk to women that way. It's not pleasant to, well, personally, that to me does nothing for us as a culture that is in the modern world. We do not grow. We do not, and I think we need to learn to forgive. And I am completely against all the cancel culture and just the narrowness of that. The amount of the narrow-mindedness of, to me, it's just exactly butting up against what we're trying to. I think we want to be expanding. We
Yeah.
want to expand our ability to hold each other and different choices. We want to be able to enroll and communicate and argue and disagree without slamming the phone down or storming out of the room or deciding you're cut off and I'll never speak to you again because you voted for that person and I voted for this person. I mean, that's disgusting to me. And that is where we are in this country. That's where we are in the world. It's really scary what's going on.
It doesn't keep a dialogue open.
Yes.
And I know the best way to build bridges is to extend your hand and
Yes.
communicate and bond over something that's nothing that you're fighting about.
Right.
And then you're going to be able to hear the other person
Yeah.
because nobody's listening. Everybody's just shouting.
Yes.
And to your point,
Yes.
I would learn more by watching somebody who's learned from what they've done and to see them learn and evolve and then still be able to grow rather
Right.
than let's cancel them out. Then it's like, how are we learning from that? How
We're
are
not.
youth learning if they've acted badly that they can also change and then,
Yeah.
forgive?
Yeah.
And why aren't people allowed to make mistakes?
Yeah.
Is there any person in the world who hasn't made mistakes?
Yeah, there's no morally pure.
It's like when someone
human.
cuts you off on the freeway and or you cut someone off. The other way is you cut someone off on the freeway and they have just a tantrum. They flip you off. They're screaming at you. They speed by you and flip you off and like scream out the window. And I'm thinking, as if you've never cut anyone off on the
Right.
freeway.
And it's not about you. They're going through something else, which I think a lot of our anger, we're all going through. Ever since COVID, we've all been going through a shit time.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
where you come from,
Yeah.
no matter what, there's grief, there's loss, and there's a lot of anger because we're upset at something else. And the
Yeah.
best way to take it out is where everybody else is throwing their hate on, then let's just pile it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love to pile on.
Yeah.
hate.
Yeah.
That was very well said.
And
Yeah.
one of the things I love about working with George is that we both are like committed to just like we both know that my job, our job together is to put joy into the world.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
That's why I won't get up on a soapbox and I won't talk about politics specifically and I won't talk about really issues specifically because that's not what I do. That's not what I'm here to do.
Right.
That's not me being in service of the world of what my skill sets are.
Yep.
I want to bring joy, love, laughter, emotion. I want to open people's minds
Even
and
escape,
hearts.
you know?
I want to, I
See,
want to entertain.
That's also a good point too. And what brings us all together is comedy. Always brings us together.
Right.
That does. That
Like
does.
when you're laughing with somebody, you forget what you were fighting about, or
Right.
you don't even know where they came from. If you're laughing at the same thing, you bond it instantly.
Yes. And people that are opposite ends of the spectrum from my personal lives might be really, really drawn to something I'm doing as an artist, and it might bring them healing and life and love and in their world. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, I know there are actors that they feel that their voice is all about being a politician, and I get that, and I get that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's-
if that
I get
works for them, that's
Sure.
fine.
It's a fine
that.
edge though, because you have to also be well educated before you speak.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't
Right.
just do things just because you're supposed to do things. I remember when
Right.
everybody put the black boxes on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I was off Instagram for 2 days, and I got messages saying, "Why didn't you do this?" And I'm like, number one, I haven't been on Instagram. Number
Yeah.
two, I'm out doing actual stuff.
There's
rather
ways
than just
to
on
do
social
it.
Media.
Well, even because of what my job is, there's
Yeah.
ways to be of service out in the
Yes.
world, and it doesn't have to be you posturing on Instagram.
100%.
Showing everybody what a great person you are.
Yeah.
And,
Show me
you
how
know,
you're actively doing
go out
something.
and smile at someone and help someone across
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, or give someone a compliment.
Yeah, I always am giving people
Or
compliments.
take me out on a date.
know,
Buy me Panda
that's-
Express.
Or buy me dinner. That's
a
way
start.
of showing.
That's a start.
Panda Express. I love that that's your date place.
Girl,
Panda Express.
here's my thing.
You can do
We're-
better than Panda Express.
Yeah, I
No.
think
Here's my
you
thing.
can.
Your first date should be who you really are.
Are
So,
you Panda Express?
in a month in of us dating, we're sleeping in. We're ordering Panda Express. We're gonna go to like the garage sales, and then we're gonna do brunch at the Abbey.
I'm not
That's what we're
mad.
gonna do.
I'm not mad
God,
at that
you're so
vibe,
cute.
but Panda Express for me is like that hurt my stomach. I got food poisoning
I'm
from
sorry.
Panda.
That is my guilty pleasure. I'm not going to deny it. Because if you date me, that's what we're going to be eating in a month.
Oh, my
Oh.
You know, the
God.
first
Okay.
dates are always, let's go to
Cute.
the most expensive place. Let's dress up. Let's be so polite. No, I'm going to show you who I really am. And let's see if you're still there. Again, no second
Wait,
dates
I'm
for
just
me.
curious because Melora's a very clean eater. For me, I would do like Chipotle, Taco Bell. If you were gonna have like a like low grade sort of
Yeah.
food indulgence,
I
what
don't
would
think
it
she
be?
knows what you're talking about.
I'm sure you've had. Like, what would it be?
Oh,
In and
well,
out.
No, yeah, I would do In and Out with
Yeah.
the protein wrap, with the
Okay.
lettuce.
Yeah.
My Lord, where did this
in and out.
conversation go?
I actually prefer protein style now.
I do too.
Daryl and I
yeah.
get it that way all the
Yeah,
time.
that's
Okay, hand me your buns. I've said that in West Hollywood many times. Okay, we need to talk about your Broadway debut in Chicago.
Yeah.
Candor and Ebb on Broadway. That must have been such a dream.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, being a dancer and an actor
singer.
and a singer, I was just in heaven.
Yeah.
It was I literally, my mom said, you just felt like you were just on top of the world for, I did it for 3.5 months. They wanted me to stay longer, and I wanted to stay longer, but I was still under contract with the office and needed to come back and do some of that.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the headlines, I remember the
Yeah.
bait headlines were leaving the office and then ... to go on Broadway. I was like, come on. 8 shows a week, though.
Yeah.
New York.
Heaven.
Oh, you love that.
But heaven, but
Yeah.
also, that's a pretty strenuous on your
Yeah.
body,
She
on
can
your
do it.
voice.
She can handle it. She's
No,
made for
I'm
that.
a badass.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, I mean, look at your career.
I'm
Of
a
course you are a
badass.
badass.
She a boss.
But what did going through that teach you most? Because a star coming into this vehicle, Chicago is its own vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of stars go in, and let's be honest, some of the stars that they've cast in the last couple of years have just been tourist traps.
Yeah.
They can't
Sure.
sing or whatever.
Sure.
And it's like they
Who,
think that
who,
they're
are you-
bigger.
who specifically?
Wendy Williams, how you doing?
Was she in Chicago?
She played Mama Morton.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Ariana Maddox from Vanderpump Rules.
Well, she hasn't
is
done it
heading
yet.
to Broadway.
She might be good.
She's been on the show. We like her.
Yeah.
But I think that the general thought is that
I don't even know who these people are, so I'm not commenting.
But
She was on Dancing with the Stars this season.
Okay.
but they think that they're bigger than the show. We know Chicago and Candor and Ebb and Fosse choreography is much bigger. That's a whole legacy in itself.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
to
just
meld you
silly.
with that,
Yeah.
what did you learn most about yourself going through those 3.5 months?
Well, I made one of my best friends in Greg Butler.
Yes, we love Greg.
He's just amazing, and it was just so joyful. I can't say enough. I'm kind of, I think it is the dancer in me. I'm a little bit like a racehorse. I really like to feel used.
Yeah.
I like to
And
feel that,
exhausted at the end of
I
the
like
day,
to feel
yeah.
that every part of me is being required and asked for and requested, and it was just so wonderful to have the challenge of feeling like every cylinder's firing and it needs to be firing. I loved it so much that on my day off, which in Chicago was on Wednesdays, I got food poisoning. And I called the
From Panda Express. No,
I did get food poisoning from Panda Express
no
once.
that does not happen.
No.
It did.
Oh my God. No, it was not that. But I did get food poisoning. I called and I spent the entire night in the bathroom, doing all those things that you do when you have food poisoning. And I called the stage manager the next morning, and I still was crap, and I also had no weak,
Yeah.
Sure.
And I said, I have to tell you, I've had food poisoning, but I think I've gotten it all out now. And if I can come in tonight and not throw up on myself or the audience, I'm doing the show. And he was like, no, you can totally have the understudy do it. And I was like, I know I can, but I'm just letting you know, if I can be there, I will be there, and I'll let you know, later. And I went.
Damn.
Okay, so this is
Love
a
that.
different
I
style
just
of
love it.
theater experience that the younger generation does not know. They're like, oh, understudy if I have a headache or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking
And
like
here's-
Angela Lansbury would do 8 shows a week. Bernadette Peters
Yeah.
would do this. This is just what you did on Broadway,
Here's
and you
how I
understood
felt
that.
about it, too. I felt like people were coming to Chicago to
course.
see me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was the star of the show
Yes.
at that time, and it was a very short run. It was 3 months, and there were people that were excited to see Melora Hardin play Roxy Hart on Broadway.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to let them down if I can show up for that. That's how I felt about it. They're buying a ticket. Those
Yeah.
tickets are expensive.
Exactly.
I don't want them to look and go like, oh, I want them to be like, wow,
And let's be honest,
that's
no matter how good the understudy is, and understudies are a legend unto their own.
some
but
of them are incredible. There's no doubt. Of
if
course.
I'm going to see Chicago again to see you, and if you're not there, I'd not
You'd
be
be
happy.
bummed,
Yeah.
right?
Of course.
Exactly.
Okay, we got so many questions, and I apologize we don't get to your question. Then also playing Fantine in Les Mis, I want to know as an actor, and it seems like you have this handle on being able to, you're like a chameleon, especially watching Clock, to morph into these characters. But playing a role like Roxy Hart and then playing a role like Fantine that we all know and love, we've seen over and over from high school productions to, to the local touring to national tours to Broadway. How did you make the roles your own, and what was your actor approach?
Well, I mean, in terms of Fontaine, that was, very. I mean, I saw Les Mis on Broadway. Yeah. I think that was 1987 when it first came to Broadway or something.
So you saw it with Patty?
I saw it with.
No, she didn't.
I saw it with Colm Wilkinson,
yes.
who was the
God, he's amazing.
Yeah, he was the first Jean Valjean, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah. He's in the movie too, by the way. He does a little cameo at the end.
Yes, he does. And I was, before that, I was a very serious actress when I was young. Very serious. I mean, I thought that it was like a very serious thing.
You gave the horse acting notes when you were done.
No, seriously, I was very serious about my craft and and it was like, I thought that, I thought looking at like musical theater, even though I was a dancer and a singer, I was like, oh, well, that's just like silly stuff. Then I
don't tell Daryl that.
No, well, there's more to the story. Then I saw Les Mis, and I sat on the edge of my seat, and I thought, that's a tragedy, and it's a musical. Yeah. I want to do that, right? So then I got to do that, and that was a dream come true.
And Hollywood Bowl, by the way, which
Under
is
the
iconic
stars.
in itself.
Iconic, yeah.
And every
Singing
celebrity
about-
is in the audience watching celebrities on stage.
Yes.
Daryl was there.
Singing about God and heaven and looking up at God and heaven with 90, I think the Hollywood Bowl filled is like either 16,000 or 19,000 people a night. It was sold out every single night. So 3 nights sold out. Unbelievable music, unbelievable. Like they brought in the costumes from Broadway, just so we could have, really the real costumes. And it was really incredible cast. And I was in heaven. And I was apparently the first woman to play the role like professionally that was really a mom. Most of the people that had played it, like on Broadway and stuff, were younger women that had not yet had children.
Yep.
And so that was sort of just an easy thing for me to tap into, because that's really what she's fighting for, the whole musical. But then what I want to say is, I was so serious, and then of course, The Office and all these other things, and now, I was always thought of as a dramatic actress as a young girl, and then now I'm thinking of as a comedic actress, or both, But now all I want to do is musical theater. I mean, that's not true, but I love comedy, I love musical theater, and I love drama. I love it all, but I did loosen up as I got older.
But we know
I got a sense of humor. Let me put it that way.
That's what she said.
but the best,
loosening up part.
Yeah,
very good, George. Very good.
But we know the best comedy is played as a drama. You can't play it for comedy.
Yeah,
And I
of
think
course.
that's
Of
what
course.
works so well for
Comedy
you.
and drama both come from just playing the truth. That's all.
Okay, what role would bring you back to Broadway?
Oh my God. Well, I want to originate a role. I want to originate a role on Broadway. That's what I really want to do. But God, there's so many incredible. I mean, I don't even know. God. Well, I was thinking of the coming down the stairs one. What is it? Sunset Boulevard?
Oh.
I was thinking of Sunset Boulevard.
I could see
that would be
that.
a pretty fun character.
That'd be sick.
to play
Well, and
for
they're
me.
bringing it back to Broadway with Nicole whatever from Pussycat Dolls.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
It's kind of random.
They've redone the whole staging. They've stripped away everything.
Okay.
And they've
Jennifer-
skewed it much, much younger.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Yeah.
I thought Jennifer. Oh no, that's
Nicole's
Kiss
great,
of the
though.
Spider
She's
Woman.
great.
Yeah. That's a weird choice,
Oh.
by the way. Who
remember we were
asked for
talking
Kiss of the
about
Spider
that.
Woman movie? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but who asked for it? Anyway, okay, we have a lot to get through. Blah, blah, blah. I want to get to questions. We're not going to dwell too much on The Office because you've done so many interviews about The Office. But one
Yeah,
thing I
people
wanted
can
to
look
talk
that
to,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to talk about because, like I said, a lot of actors watch the show, and I've heard that actors also feel this when they're a guest star on like a really big show that's just already happening, and they have 1 or 2 episodes. I don't know. You came into a million little things like later on into the run. Very sweet show, but. You've talked about The Office that you felt isolated, not only because of your character, but, the cast kind of were bonding on a different level, and you came in, and I don't know why they vilify Jan, by the way, especially after your explanation. It's like she was holding her own in a man's world. And it's like, I don't understand this whole, I mean, I enjoyed it, but you felt a little isolated. Maybe you can give advice to some of the actors who also feel isolated as doing a guest spot or just not kind of meshing with the cast.
Yeah. I think it's great to not try to bond with everybody. I think one of the problems with being a child actor is that when you're a child actor, you go onto a set and everybody is like so warm and welcoming to the kids. They all put their arms around you and love you, and you're playing a family, and they're like, oh my God. And all the adult actors really bond with you. They really make an effort to do that for the kids. So then when you grow up in that world, and then you become in your 20s, and you're kind of like, well, how come?
That's not happening
we're
anymore.
not bonding anymore.
Where's my lollipop?
How come everybody's not like, Melora, I love you, and you're my best friend, and you're the sweetest thing and the greatest thing? And I was like, oh. And it took me going to a life coach to find out like that he was like, no, I don't want you trying to belong there. You don't belong everywhere. You only belong with the people that you belong with. And you have like incredible network of people that absolutely adore you and think you're incredible, and not everybody wants all that, Melora. And I was like, oh, that's true. I'm like a very intense person. I'm a lot. I'm not like, I'm a lot. I'm a lot as a performer. I'm a lot as a person, as a friend, everything. I mean, I give a lot, and I'm also a lot. So that was just a great lesson for me. And I think it's kind of good to like know that you're not going to go on every set. You're not, I mean, I have friends that I've worked with, but not that many, few and far between. Do I have real friends I'm talking about? I like most people. I get along with most people. Most people get along with me, but it's rare that you really, really connect with people, and you shouldn't try. You don't need to. Just do your work, and be as connected as you need to be in the scene. Yeah. And value that, because when you're working with actors that can connect with you on camera, that's great. That's incredible.
That's your job too.
Yeah.
That's the job. You don't have to connect off camera the way that you do when you're a kid, And so that was a great lesson for me, and I would give that to other actors.
I think that's a very, very good point.
Yep.
I mean, I think that gets muddled in terms of like, no, I'm here to do my job. And from a fan point of view, we look, The Office is on at every hour of the day somewhere in the world.
And everybody must be best friends.
Well, that's just it. The audience builds into this fantasy, just like Golden Girls. We want to believe that it was just this big, happy thing. And, now facts come out. And it's like, it was a job just like any other job. You're going to have that person that you can't stand in the office. You're going to have that HR person that they're just going to be the reality. But at the end of the day, you did your job, obviously, because you're part of these successful projects.
Right.
Another acting question that we got, playing opposite a character like Michael Scott, playing opposite a character like Monk. These are hyper characters with their own idiosyncrasies. They're also fan favorites. How, as an actor, do you hold your own when you're playing across that? Because they're doing, I don't want to say shtick, because that kind of devalues what they're doing, but they're being presentational. As an actor, how do you connect and hold your own during a scene like that?
Well, I think it's just good to know what your purpose is in the piece. I mean, on The Office, I was Steve's straight man.
Yeah,
that's it. I was the straight man. So I know how to do that, and on Monk, I'm the heart.
Yeah,
like that's it. So that's what I'm doing, no matter what. That's the overarching, and that's the director in me too. Yeah. Because I can see more than just me, my line, your line, my line. Blah blah blah, my line. I'm not that kind of an actor. I actually read the whole thing in context of where do I fit in the context of this, in the overarching storyline, in the drama, in the comedy. What is the purpose of my character? Because when a writer writes that, they write that character for a reason, because they're serving the larger fun or drama of the piece. And so once you know that, then you also know how your choices can serve the larger picture. And it's not about me. It's like I'm serving a purpose, and I if I'm up there trying to like doing my thing with Michael, I mean, first of all, they wouldn't have hired me, number one, and number two, it wouldn't work, there's just such beauty in that, like that incredible play where I'm just like deadpan, so that I set him up for like a great funny, and then that sets me up for a great deadpan look, and like we had incredible working chemistry, like incredible working chemistry.
Well, and that dinner episode is talked about from fandom from here to beyond because it was so awkward.
It was
and
voted the
so
best
cleverly-
episode in Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it
such a
was like
great-
watching like some Christopher Durang play. I mean, it was so uncomfortable, but entertaining. Okay,
Yeah.
we have to talk about You, which was your first directorial debut. And when I say family affair, parents, your kids, your husband.
Yes.
Like, it really was.
It really was.
And a bunch of like other peppered in great actors from
Who
the
were all
industry.
friends, all friends, yeah, and new friends too. I made a couple new friends too.
What was it like stepping behind the camera, first day of shooting,
Mm-hmm.
having these nerves, and then even though they're your parents, like they're industry people too. They work with a lot of directors, and then your
Right.
kids, which you have a whole different relationship with, and then your husband, who you have to like go to bed with every night. I'm assuming. What was it like stepping behind on that first day of filming, and what did that whole process teach you about your directing skills?
Well, there were a few things. One is that I was very comfortable on set, very comfortable. But there were definite challenges. My husband and I fought more than I think we ever would now, just because it was his first time too. He wrote the screenplay,
Yeah, yep.
and he was starring in it, and I was starring in it, and I was directing, and we were co-producing, and we were using our house, and we were using our own money, and we had two very small kids, and it was like,
listen to that pressure
It's
right
insanity.
there. Yeah.
It's insanity. Yeah, the fact that we got through it the way we did, and that and he had to surrender control, and he had to surrender. He had to surrender. To me, the script, and I had to surrender to him at times, and but I was the director, and I was the one that was leading the ship, and so we had some moments for sure. But at the same time, we learned a lot about how to work together. And I think the thing that was most challenging for me really was going into the editing room, because I'd never been in an editing room. That was the place where I was actually scared. I wasn't scared of being on set. I knew how to do that. I knew how to work with my kids because I was a child actor. I knew what worked. Right. My parents, I knew how to work with my parents. I knew how to work with most of the other actors that were there were friends. I felt like I understood what I wanted. I'm pretty decisive. I'm okay to I can change my mind, but and sometimes you have to. On every set, there's problems all the time, and I'm good at making a quick decision and make a quick change. Being able to pivot, I guess, would be a good way to put it. But I'm also really good at knowing when I've got what I need, and I don't need to do it 700 times. We can just do it, once or twice. Like if we've got it, we got it, and I know what to, And everybody was on board. There was nobody pushing against, trying to make it hard for me. Sometimes you work with people and they try to make it hard for you because they've got their own bullshit
Or
running in
challenge
their head.
you.
Yeah.
And they're constantly pushing against you, and they don't understand we're all on the same team, But everybody on my set was on the same team,
What I love is that you're so down to earth and honest. The fact that you said, we fought.
Yeah.
Some people are like, it was an amazing experience. But this is the reality. When you date somebody, you work with somebody that you're close with, even if it's a friend or whatever, there's
hard.
that intimacy that can
It's
also
hard.
cause friction.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
No
how
doubt.
you work through that and create something that's so beautiful.
yeah.
Because the piece was about grief,
Yeah.
about family.
Right.
Um,
And my husband was incredibly raw in that performance.
Yeah.
And you don't see many men that raw on film. And I really he's incredible. That's an incredible performance he does in our movie You. He really, really is incredible.
Did you get any pushback on the bold type by moving behind the camera?
No, I mean, I think that everyone was into that, and I really enjoyed it. And it's really fun to do a show where you understand the world because you've been in it so long.
5 seasons.
And understand the set. Like, I really made a specific, if people watch that episode called Snow Day, I made a real point of, I wanted to get down on the dancer in me. I wanted to get down on the floor. We did a whole scene on the floor. We did a scene behind a desk that you never had seen. And I was like, I want to use the space in a way that's never been used. I wanted to, there's all these shots of like being in the fashion closet and then being out in the bullpen. I wanted to see, Sutton go into the fashion closet and come out into the bullpen.
fans wanna see
I wanted
that
to
too.
watch,
Yeah.
use of space. We'd never used that door. That door
Yeah.
had never been used. No
It's
one
more
had ever
visceral
seen
that
it.
way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So that was
Yeah.
like super fun, and everyone was really, really open to my creative ideas, and it was super fun for me to be doing something where, you say as a director, okay, so I kind of see the shot being like on the window and the snow's out there, and then I want to kind of transition into the other window that goes into the next scene, and the snow's going to be out there, and 15 people step forward and go, okay, how can we realize her vision? Oh my God, because everything I had done up to that point was fully independent.
Yeah.
And you're kind of doing everything. Like I'm
Sure.
scrambling eggs in the morning while I'm also doing my shot list, while I'm getting hair and makeup.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That's so you.
It's so me, right?
That's so Melora.
Oh my God. But then you do the bold type, and it's this machine that's
Yeah.
working already, and you got the producer and the special effects person and the DP, and like everybody's stepping forward going, okay, how do we make her dream come true?
Well, that's a good
It was
story
so fun.
because we've heard from female directors who wanted to move behind the camera on their series, and the men would, oh yeah, great, go ahead and do it, fine. But because it was a female, there was some resistance. So I'm glad that was not the case.
Oh, interesting. Well, there wasn't resistance. I actually, but it took a little longer than we had planned on it taking. And I don't know whether that's a woman thing or a man thing. I have worked with men that are, kind of like, well, yeah, I just was like, I was just, pulling cords and, cables. And then I was like a camera operator. And, a director fell out. And so my friend turned to me and said, hey, you could direct the episode. Why don't you just do it?
This happens a lot, by the way, that people don't understand. A lot of male directors literally just...
That's the way
there's
they
nobody
did
else, go ahead and do
it.
it.
And I'm thinking, really? And I've been in this business for, since I was 6 years
Yeah.
old, and you're telling me that's how you became a director, and I have to like fight for them to let me get behind the camera. And you can see a feature film that I've made. You can see a short film that I've made that I've fully
Right.
conceptualized. You can see, I have proof that I know how to tell a story, people. So
That has to be so frustrating.
yeah, it can be frustrating.
Okay, we have to talk about Golden Vanity. Again, I want to reiterate, this is the first one-woman feature film. It's an hour and a half long, and you're like, okay, you literally are the only person in this film. It's a stationary set for the most part, in that it's in a house. We experience an evening with a Judy Garland type character after a mishap at an award show. I happen to be such a Judy Garland fanatic. Do you remember when she recorded her voice? Warner Brothers wanted her to write a book, and she needed the money so badly, so they forwarded her money to record her autobiography in a machine, and she couldn't figure out how to tape it. These tapes were released
her heart.
maybe 10 years ago, and I've listened to them over and over and over, and it was so chilling because that's kind of the world that we're in for Golden
Yeah.
Vanity.
These tapes are what inspired
Yeah.
Taylor Minus and Max Abram to write the screenplay.
But it's not a copy of it. I just want to...
Oh, no, it's
its
completely
own
different.
vehicle.
But it inspired, yeah.
I would say as an actor, we know you're a consummate actor. There's no doubt about that. We know you're a chameleon. But this could have been a huge gamble because there's nobody to play off. Even if there's a bad actor, there's still energy. A one-woman show, yeah, you get the audience energy. You get that kind of feedback. You're in it the whole time.
Yep.
Start to finish, 83 minutes.
Do you agree that it would be a gamble if it would not have worked out right?
Well, I can't say I thought about that, but recently, my friend Louis Leterrier, who directed the Fast and the Furious $400 million movie, came and saw Golden Vanity, and he said to me, "This is such a testament to you, Melora, as a storyteller, that you're so passionate, because this is a huge risk for someone of your status, of your stature, with the things that you've done and the resume you have and blah, 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 to be able to trust first-time filmmakers enough and trust your own craft and ability to, I think that I have good instincts, and I know that I know when something is going to work. And I felt like I met Taylor and Max and sat down with them, and we just talked about stuff. We didn't talk necessarily about just the script. We did talk about that too, but they wrote this for me. They wrote it for me, having never met me, and got it to me.
What an honor. I mean, people know you so well. They know your work so well.
It's
They write a
crazy.
piece and
I know.
you.
Amazing. And
Wait,
I
how
mean,
did they get the script to you?
Well, it's kind of exciting because what they did was they got a casting director, Lisa Essery, and they said to Lisa, you know, we wrote this with Melora in mind, Melora Hardin, and she said, oh, I know her husband, Gilbert Jackson.
Oh shit.
And let me you know, see if I can get it to Gilbert. So Gilbert, she connected with Gilbert, because she had cast Gilbert just recently in something, and then Gilbert, you know, got it to my agent, and my agent read it knowing that I had taken like 4 one-person show writing classes and over, you know, like a decade or something. And so he said, you know, I know you've always been interested in a one-person show. Why don't you read it? I think it's really interesting. So he read it and thought it was great. I read it and was like, what? This is so amazing. And I was like, I think I need to take a meeting with these two. And I sat down with them and I thought, these are 2 young visionaries. Like, they are artists and they have vision, and I could tell they really respected me. They really felt like they'd won the lottery, but they also were going to be able to not be so fawning all over me.
I was going to say they couldn't just be Uber fans.
Yeah. They weren't that. And they were real artists with real passion for what they had written, and a passion for me to play Mabel Montgomery Mayflower. And I felt like we could collaborate, and I knew I could bring in amazing elements. Like, I brought in an incredible, you know, costume designer, Dina Appel. I brought in amazing, you know, hair and makeup. Gene Weber did the wig, and Tanya Verna did the makeup. And, you know, I knew
every
I could
detail
bring...
gives in this character
Yes.
so well. You understand this
Yes.
character from the first few seconds because of all of that, and then you put it all together.
Yes, it's really important, the way that I look and the way she feels and the world, and they got the production designer did a beautiful job. The DP was amazing. You know, really high quality stuff for such a low budget movie where I made $1, and I'm not kidding. I literally made no money on the film.
A labor of love.
It was a labor of love. It's a true passion project.
Yeah.
It's a true passion project.
How long did it take to film?
5 days.
Isn't that crazy?
It's an hour-and-a-half film, y'all.
She's the only one in it.
Yeah.
5 days.
2 weeks of rehearsal. We did very much like theater rehearsal, just Max and I in a room. And,
Was that in London?
No, it was in LA.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we shot it 5 days.
And it doesn't appear like a one-person play that's filmed. It doesn't have that element at all. It definitely is a film. And the arc that your character has to go through, and the pacing, because an hour and a half with anybody, you know, you're just like, okay, but it's paced so well.
It is.
You go through the journey, and you go through the memories, and you go through what this actor has been through from early on.
Yep.
You know, it really tells a story, and it's really chilling, and it's beautifully done.
And Max Abram also cut it, and he's a really talented editor, because the first cut of the film was 3 hours long. So when
I love you, girl, but I don't know about 3 hours.
No,
I could
no,
barely
no.
get through Killers of the Moon.
Absolutely.
The flower moon. Girl, that took me all day to watch.
No, but literally, it's just the thing, you know, to be able to hone something down. But you say the pace and the way that he held it together, and it needed to be 83 minutes. We all knew it needed to be 83 minutes. I'm just saying, think about all the pieces of those stories you're not hearing and not seeing, and that he still makes it feel like you're not missing a thing. Yeah. He's really beautiful, really talented.
Was that his first time directing a feature?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And he edited it.
Yep.
Damn.
I know.
Shout out Max.
Real talent.
Yeah.
Real talent. Yep.
But as a viewer, like, your heart starts to beat along with, you know, what's coming and what this character's going through. We have so much that we didn't get to, and we're gonna take a few minutes extra if you don't mind.
Sure.
You're singing again. I want to talk about the pressures. You know, when we hear an actor is like, oh, I'm a singer too, we all kind of roll our eyes, and then an auto-tune song comes out. We're like, good for you. 3 albums, live performances. We talked about your Broadway. I just have to share this with the audience. This is a recording that you did in downtown Los Angeles, by the way. I know this space very well. I just want you to listen to just this little clip.
All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars
again, we're talking about a song that we all know, and then we're hearing it again almost like for the first time because you put your own inflections, you put your own person behind this. Did you feel the pressure to like, now I need to prove I'm a singer, even though I know I'm a singer? Did you ever feel that?
No.
I knew she was going to say that.
Every actor is at home like, God damn, I want to be Melora.
No, I mean, I was singing that song for personal reasons because I feel like it's the song is about nothing in the world outside being enough for her, but I feel like I'm not enough all the time. I feel like I'm not enough.
Have you seen
and
your
so
resume?
that was yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Like reasonably, it's not a reasonable thing. But we all have those things that are not reasonable to the outside world. But it's just something you came in with, or something that you inherited from your family or whatever. And I don't think I'm short on a community. I think I probably have a pretty large community of people who feel like they're not enough about things. So that was a really personal sort of wonderful way to just purge and just sort of cry about that feeling of it's just no matter what I do, no matter what award I get nominated for or win, or I still grapple with like, yeah, but and so I actually have just recently made a real shift into more of the in service of like whatever the divine, the connection of all of us humans. I really think of myself as a spirit having a human experience, not a human having a spiritual experience. And so I'm trying to recognize that as a spirit, it's clunky to have a human experience. We're clunky as humans. We're not
limited a little bit.
Being a human is it's just a job. It's a real journey to be a human, right?
And maybe that's why you came here with so many talents already. Like a 2-year-old writing a song. Taylor Swift was like, God damn it, I was 6. But do you know what I mean? It's like you've come already.
Yeah.
And so along that line of never been enough, which it's not also a bad thing because it continues to challenge us too as well. If we're never enough, it's like, okay, what's next? And look at your career when we're talking about all the descriptive: singer, dancer, director, acting, artist. This is a question we got. Are there any parts of the arts left that you would see as a major challenge or that you want to tackle next? I don't know what else. Maybe rap music? I don't know what else there would be left.
No, it's a great question. I mean, I'm right now, creating a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
That's, with my wallpaper
Tony,
and
can we show
my
some of
art.
these pictures?
Yeah.
Show the
And
wallpaper.
I want to do, like, I've made skirts. I've made a skirt. I've made a coat.
This is stunning.
I want to make, I want to make dinnerware and tablecloths, and that's actually a paper dress. That's with my wallpaper. That's kind of was just fun to do. That's not an actual dress. That's
Every
a
drag
paper,
race queen
that's
is
a
going to
paper
call you
dress.
tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a
They're gonna
paper
be
for
dress.
real.
That's not a real dress. But I have made a real skirt, and I the first skirt I made was for Greg Butler for his 60th birthday, and he wanted a skirt, and that inspired me to make him a skirt. And then I made myself a skirt, and then I made a friend a skirt, and I made a
This one.
coat.
Who are you wearing at the Oscars? Melora.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
But you're doing it you're doing the damn thing.
Yeah, I want to. I mean, I want to expand it. I need to get support in that because, it takes a village, right, to do these things. I mean, I can only do so much with my own, money and all that, but I do need that. And I'm always looking for collaborations. I'm always looking for ways to creatively collaborate with people. And sometimes it's people, the way people can show up for you is that they can actually, invest in your art.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with my documentary that I've been making for 6 years, I mean, we have people that have, I guess it would be called given us a grant, given us a, and they feel really, really like good about that. And, because they can't do what I do. Yeah. But they have the money to put into the project that's meaningful, and that's so beautiful to realize that you can really have that beautiful partnership with people.
Gotta add documentary into that list.
Yeah,
that's right.
But that's the thing I love about
Right.
Melora is if she wants to do something and she has an ambition to do it, it's gonna happen.
And this is part of the hustle that I think our viewers should also understand. It's like, you've had this success and some people could just rest on that success and be like, okay, I did it. And, okay, whatever comes my way is what comes my way. But you continue the hustle and you continue to reinvent yourself.
Hell yeah.
To your point, I think that's such a great thing to show, especially, our younger generation. I think they settle on, I did a show on CW or I'm popular on TikTok and there I am. No, it's more than that.
She doesn't rest on her laurels.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel driven to be of service to my purpose. My purpose is to, I've always said I'm the bumper sticker born to perform, but I think it's even more than that. I
love that.
I actually think I'm born to bring joy and to bring light and love and insight and I'm born to kind of shed light. That's really what I'm doing. That's what I do through all the things that I do, and I really want to be committed to that, because I think, you can get all the success in the world, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the, accolades in the world. If you don't know your purpose, none of it means anything. Yeah. And really, what you remember on your deathbed is, sure, I love money. I'm not saying I have a problem with it. But you don't remember the money you made. You remember the people. You remember the relationships. You remember the time, the experiences you've had, and the experiences you've made. And so for me, every creative endeavor I do is an experience I'm making for you. And I'm doing it connecting in with my own muses, my own, download of whatever is working its way through me and inspiring me. And that's a gift. I'm giving that gift in service of my purpose, because when you really look at it, our lifetime is about that big, and it's about that meaningless in the large scheme of things. We have a very, very short time on this earth, and if you can't just leave a little something, a little garden, a little happier child, a little happier, lover or friend, or something that can be beautiful for people to look at or feel into, then what's the point if you're not doing that, right? What's
Melora
the point?
2024.
I thought about that. And I'm like, when is she
That's
run
all
for
I have to
president?
say.
Oh,
And
my
that answers
God.
my question: is what legacy do you want to leave behind? And you just said it perfectly. And your art, it's such a unique, it's collage style.
Yeah.
Mixes all these textures. When did you start that, and what was your inspiration?
Well, I have been a collage artist all my life, because I'm not a great representational artist. I can't, there are some people that can just do, draw someone's face and it looks like a photograph. That's just not me. So I really and it's the same as me as a director, I really like things where you can be messy. What I loved about being in the editing room was that you can put it together like this, and then you can go, you know what? Actually move that moment before that moment, and let's try that, and make that shorter, and make that laugh a little quicker, and cut to that close-up. That's collaging. It's the same thing. And I love that so much. Oh my gosh, I love it. And I think that, what inspired it was, I will say, to really take it seriously as I now am, was the documentary that I'm making. My subject and friend is Hunter Austin, and Hunter, literally, the documentary is about healing and friendship and what it really takes to transform trauma. And she actually started using my collages, little collages that I thought I was making as doodles that were meaningless little doodles. She would call me, and when I was working on location in the Bold Type, and she's here in Los Angeles, and she would call me in floods of tears and say, oh my God, this collage is like this and like that, and it did this for me, and last night I had a nightmare, and I woke up and I stared at the collage, and I went into the collage, and it made me feel safe, and it made me feel healed, and it made me feel like there's hope for the future. And I was like, what? These little doodles that I thought I was making are not only you're loving them, but they're healing you. They're helping you transform this
It's like
trauma.
a vision board.
It was unbelievable to me. And then everybody that saw them kept asking for them to be bigger. Everyone kept saying, I just see these huge. I just want them to be huge, because I started making them very small. The first ones I made were literally that big.
Oh wow.
And I realized that, because we have these cell phones now, we can zoom in, and and everyone would zoom in on the details, and they wanted. So I just started answering the call. Like I listen. That's why I'm a great actor. I listen, but I listen in life, and I just hear everyone saying bigger, 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 and then it suddenly became wallpaper, and then it suddenly became big, huge collages that I was doing fine art in a beautiful gallery in Montreal, Galerie Le Royer, and so. Yeah, that's how it all happened, and it was just organic. But truly, Hunter is the one that I said to her, I was like, I literally wouldn't have the wallpaper line. I wouldn't have done this, done a gallery show with the gallery if it hadn't been for her. She really was the one that she inspired me to go bigger, deeper, and more.
Well, and the joy on your face, because I've seen the clip that's on your website and also on social media when you're walking through the gallery, and there's just this look on your face, and then this art is just stunning. And when you see the wallpaper, it's like every Real Housewife is just gonna want this because it has such a texture and a luxury, but it's also very tactile and it's accessible.
Yeah, it's
I think
vibrant.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so
it's
much.
Gorgeous.
It's really nice.
Okay, George. So I know that you know Melora. Is there a question you've always wanted to ask her, professionally wise or even personal wise? In this format now you can because you're a guest co-host. Just
I feel like we know each other pretty well. There's nothing that I'm super curious about that I don't have Bernie. Do you have any questions for me? That's my question.
Yeah.
Let's direct it back
Laura,
to me.
Well, no, but I just want to say, you said all those wonderful things about him at the beginning, but I also want to say, he's also so pretty.
Yeah, let's not forget
I
that.
don't think he doesn't know it, by the way. You go to his Instagram, it's selfie, 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 husband, selfie, selfie, selfie.
Oh,
husband,
don't
husband,
give Daryl a
selfie,
complex.
selfie.
He asked
I'm just
he asked me for a picture to use for the promo thing,
yeah.
and I sent him this shirtless selfie, and he's like, "We can't
Melora,
use
this
that."
is the funniest thing. I was like, Melora, your
George,
picture.
you
is
should have
just-
run that by me first, George.
Your picture is so beautiful, and I was like, okay, George, I need you for the promo shot. He sends me all these shirts.
George, you're
And
hilarious.
something with a shirt on, then he sent me a tank top. And I was like, sleeves? Oh my God, it was so funny because I was just there
Okay,
girl,
that's
come on.
cute. That's cute, but that's George.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
me.
that's
That
George.
is George. That is George.
I love you.
What
And,
enough for
and I
George?
will. Another thing I'm going to say, I'm going to just compliment George. I'm not going to ask him any questions because I can ask him questions anytime. But I'm going to say that I hated social media. Hated it. Hated
It's a whole job in itself.
I do not like my cell phone. I do not like technology. I do not like my computer very much. And George made it fun. And George made it so I could do it. And really, we collaborate so well together. And George is he's the bomb.
Oh, I love you.
Well, he
You're the
also
bomb.
has a great talent in that we see your social media. It's you. It's what fans
Yeah.
expect to see from
Yeah.
you.
Well, because it is.
Yeah, it's
no,
you're
it
branded.
is.
It is you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have such a gift from okay, that's that personality, and this
Yeah.
is this personality.
I would say I
Yes.
curate her
Yes.
page.
Yeah,
Yes.
you do.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's also collaborative. He at the beginning when I was a little more oh, really? We're gonna do this, which I was. Now I'm whatever you want, George.
Yeah.
but at the beginning I was a little oh. But he would just send me a little cute little. So it might be great if you would do a picture. For we might want to post something.
Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji.
I'd be really what? And he'd be I don't know, anything. It could be, it could be you and then, with the kids. It could be you in your backyard. What do you feel like? What do you feel like today? I'd be oh my God, he's so sweet. He makes it easy. He collaborates. He doesn't make it hard. He doesn't make it scary. It was scary to me at the beginning. Yeah. It really was.
Well, it works.
I'm
girl.
56 years old. This is not my generation of crap. It just isn't.
Yep.
But George made it. He made it so I could do it and made it fun and made it not intimidating. It was intimidating at the beginning.
Yeah.
This
It
is
really
the best
was.
the best episode ever.
I just have to say, and wrapping up, it has been such a joy.
Aw.
So many fans know you from so many different things.
Yeah,
And because of your social media, it's we feel like we do know you.
Oh, good.
And what a
Yay,
joy
George! Yay, George!
being able to explore you also through your art. It has so much of your personality. And
Thanks.
so it's been an absolute joy. And thank you for sharing so many, down-to-earth facts.
Oh, well, I'm so happy
As
to
well.
be here. It's so lovely, and it was really fun to have George just because he's my buddy.
Oh yeah,
All right,
that's
Melora,
my girl.
That is your
And
girl.
thank you for doing your homework. Sometimes I'll do these interviews and it's like, oh my God, they're not going to ask me another question.
I know, I watched
like
some of
that.
'em.
I really appreciate you trying
Oh,
to
he
do
goes
something a
deep,
little
yeah.
different, a little fresh.
He'll
That's
he'll
just
tell.
really
Like I was
nice.
watching clock last night at 10 p.m. I was like,
I know.
gotta
Yeah, we were
see this.
texting. He was like,
Yeah.
"I'm watching
It's
clock right now."
I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. When I always thank journalists when they do that, because when they do that, it makes such a difference. Sometimes you get on these and you're just like, "Are you kidding me? Oh my God!" And
I
you
always
still
say-
have to smile and be like, oh,
Or they ask you
yeah, I'll answer
5,000
that.
questions about The Office.
I'll answer the
See,
same
that's
question
the
I've
thing.
answered 7 trillion times.
So many times. But I think if an actor is able, like you just shared so much of your personal life, you shared so many great acting tips. You showed me the respect and you showed the audience the respect. The least I can do is my homework.
Thank you. Well,
And girl, you make it easy too. You are good.
Yeah,
awesome.
She good.
That's the way it should
When's
be.
the Melora podcast? I want to.
Seriously.
That's the next thing. Can you
Well,
imagine?
people have asked me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
sure.
Tony, we'll
I'm
talk
sure.
about that.
Yeah. yeah. Tell everybody where you want them to find and follow you, or should I ask you? That?
Yeah, why don't you ask him?
And
then
your website
I'll-
is amazing, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Go to her website. There's clips there. It's so beautifully.
Thank you.
Put together.
That's Melora.com, www.melora.com. Yes, I got that, people. Are you proud of me?
Yes.
I got that at the very beginning when people were getting websites.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's a good domain.
Yeah, that's a good domain.
is.
And what else? I have, I have
Instagrams.
my
Instagram at Melora D Hardin.
That's right.
Yes.
And then Twitter is at Melora Hardin. But we
Yeah.
do more Instagram than we do
Instagram
Twitter.
is like where it's at.
I'm
with
trying to
her.
stay
we're
off
doing.
Twitter.
Yeah. We have fun because we like the visual stuff.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
What a joy! What a joy! And George, where can people find and follow you?
Instagram baby at George Griffin, but the I at the end of Griffin is the number 1. So
Yes.
George Griffin with a 1 at the end instead
Yes.
of an I.
Perfect.
Very
Thank you both for
important.
coming on.
You
And
know why? Because you're number 1.
It's because George Griffin was already taken. I didn't get in there early like you did.
he's getting a lot of bear comments from the community. The other George Griffin. He's like, nope, not me.
That's funny.
That poor George
Yeah.
Griffin.
Oh, my God.
Probably some conservative. And, I don't know.
I hope so.
He's like, what is this? It's an eggplant. Okay, anyway, that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every weekend on The Rocks. Big thank you to our engineer and station owner, Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez. Please like, share, subscribe so we can continue bringing the show to you, coming your way for free. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink, stay tipsy. We'll see you next week. This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me at Sliders My DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay